Mr. Zuma, Justice Chick, is the only human being in this country who was imprisoned without having pleaded guilty or not guilty. The only one since 1994. Well, I'm sure even since 1652. So there's no one else who was ever taken to a jail cell without meeting a magistrate, a judge, or anyone and saying, yes, I'm guilty or not guilty. The only person in this world, well, I'm sure even that is true, prisoners, Mr. Zuma, Justice Chick, is the only human being in this country who was imprisoned without having pleaded guilty or not guilty. The only one since 1994. Well, I'm sure even since 1652. So there's no one else who was ever taken to a jail cell without meeting a magistrate, a judge, or anyone and saying, yes, I'm guilty or not guilty. The only person in this world, well, I'm sure even that is true.
All those prisoners who were granted remission, their records were expunged. Is that your submission?
No, because all those prisoners, Mr. Zuma, Justice Chick, is the only human being in this country who was imprisoned without having pleaded guilty or not guilty. The only one since 1994. Well, I'm sure even since 1652. So there's no one else who was ever taken to a jail cell without meeting a magistrate, a judge, or anyone and saying, yes, I'm guilty or not guilty. The only person in this world, well, I'm sure even that is true, is him. So, and that is what we're told that the drafters of 47(1)E contemplated. Really, how can that be?
You made an attack on the pardon power and that power in terms of 84(2), and I tend to agree with you that that's an extraordinary power.
Yes.
But it seems to me that that would actually run counter to your argument that we should actually limit the power of pardon to only pardons, and we should ensure that remissions actually have a less extensive effect, rather than interpreting in the way you're suggesting that preserves that, as you put it, colonial heritage. We should rather try and restrict the lack of that very wide power itself.
I understand that. No, you can't do that. That's not your job. Your job is not to rewrite the Constitution. Yes, it's to interpret it. So whether it was a good thing or a bad thing to have remission mentioned together with pardon is something that we can debate. I've put my position very clear. But your job is confined to one thing and one thing only, which is to interpret. And in that process of interpretation, whether you like that the prerogative powers or you hate them, as I do, they are here now, and they cannot be limited only for Mr. Zuma, because that would be another gross violation of his right, that for everyone else we accept the drastic powers of the executive, but for Mr. Zuma we're going to restrict them. Why? Engineers, because if they wanted to seek clarity, then we shouldn't be here on an urgent basis. It can be done at any other time.
Please can you address my question?
Yes, I am. And all I'm saying is that for anyone to say they are seeking clarity when the Electoral Court has granted that clarity is disrespectful and contemptuous of that court. Because that court, and I'm coming to the supplementary affidavit point, what necessitated the supplementary affidavit is the fact that the IEC jumped the gun and came to this court before the reasons were given. So they knew prophetically that these reasons will lack clarity. How did they know that? How did they know that the reasons will lack clarity by jumping to this court? They would never have been in a position to have to do a supplementary affidavit if they had simply waited for the reasons, read them, decide whether they are appealable, and then come here. So it is on that basis that we object to that, because it has made us, and I can tell you this, Justice Theron, we literally, by the time the reasons came out, we had sat day and night as a team, drafting the answering affidavit to that original affidavit. And then just as we were about to file it, the reasons came. So we had to throw all that into the dustbin and then deal with the reasons, which is what the IEC should have done. So my objection, a very strong one, is to the notion that they were able to predict that there will be no clarity. If they had accepted the outcome of the electoral court, there would have been clarity. Everyone would know. The objection was, the appeal was dismissed. That's clarity.
Now, apart from the Zuma contempt judgment, where that principle emerged from, is there any other authority for that proposition or principle?
No, the Zuma contempt judgment is the binding authority. That's why we refer to it.
Yes, my question is there any other authority?
No, I submit, Justice Theron, there is no need for us to find other authority, because you have a binding authority which is recent.
Let me finish my question, please.
All right, I apologize.
Apart from the Zuma contempt judgment, where that principle emerges from, is there any other authority in support of that?
No, we don't rely on any other authority. We rely on the Zuma contempt judgment. We say it is binding, it's recent, you should follow it.
My question was not what you are relying upon, Mr. Ngcukaithobi. My question was, apart from that judgment, is there any other authority?
Nothing that we have